Chapter 231, 162, Crushing the Kyoto University Genius _2. Hearing the surrounding discussions, Shen Qinghan became anxious. She furrowed her delicately attractive eyebrows and said to Gao Mu on the stage with displeasure, "The pure-blood human path has a bright future, and someone short-sighted like you wouldn't understand." "Yes, I don't understand." Gao Mu's mouth curled up slightly, his eyes full of contempt as he said, "But one thing I do understand is that so far, the pure-blood human path hasn't even broken the shackles of ordinary biological levels, it's getting smaller by the day, with only a rundown research institute gasping for breath in Shan University." This statement was an indisputable fact. Looking around the country, the only organization still adhering to the pure-blood human path was the Pure Human Research Institute governed by Lu Juanwu, or, in other words, Tianren Pavilion. Tianren Pavilion seemed to have many members, with every martial arts gym's master and disciples being part of it. But in fact, many were just in name. They were people who were unable to follow the genetic fusion path or the mechanical transformation path and just wanted an organization to belong to. Strictly speaking, they weren't considered real members. The real members, that is, those who were truly dedicated to researching the pure-blood human path, were actually only Lin Zikan, Lu Juanwu, and Song Yuan. Shen Qinghan's involvement could barely be counted as well. However, Shen Qinghan was simply practicing the blood tempering technique and had not participated in research. "Enough chit-chat, let's save some time and get straight to the fight," Lin Zikan said indifferently. Upon hearing this, Gao Mu stopped talking nonsense, went to his position opposite Lin Zikan, and said, "Since you're in such a hurry, let's start." After speaking, he slightly sank his body, spread his legs one in front of the other, and protected his front with his arms, posing in an absolute defensive stance, waiting for Lin Zikan to attack. He had integrated the genes of the armored earth dragon and the demonic eye giant ape. His defense and strength had been enhanced. His speed was somewhat lacking. Taking the initiative to attack wasn't his advantage. Therefore, the best way to fight was to focus on defense. He would look for his opponent's weaknesses while defending, and strike a heavy blow at the right moment. His strategy was to gain the upper hand by striking later. Luo Yongjian below the stage saw this and immediately shouted to Lin Zikan, "Ziai Chen! He's integrated the genes of the armored earth dragon and the demonic eye giant ape, high in attack and defense but slow, don't clash head-on with him, use your speed advantage to circle around him. As long as you're careful, he basically won't be able to hit you, and you can also outlast him." Low-level genetic integrators can't activate the exotic beast gene in their bodies for a long time, or they risk mutation. But Lin Zikan, who practiced the pure-blood human path, didn't have this disadvantage. As long as he employed a circling strategy to run out the time Gao Mu could activate his exotic beast gene, he could easily win this duel. Luo Yongjian's advice was good, but Lin Zikan didn't need it. Very quickly, just a buzzing sound. One moment Lin Zikan was standing in place, and the next, his figure instantly turned into a residual image and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of Gao Mu. Then, before anyone at the scene could react, he raised his leg and fiercely kicked the arms that Gao Mu was using to protect his front. Bang! With a loud impact noise, Gao Mu, whose body was covered in scales and looked as immovable as a small mountain, was kicked off his feet and sent flying backward with great speed. He flew through the air in a parabola described by y equals 4x superscript 2 plus 39x plus 6. Then, another bang resounded. He crashed heavily into a tree, slid down from it to the ground, curled up in pain, and moaned in agony. A closer look would reveal that most of the scales on his arms were shattered, and blood oozed profusely, a sight that was extremely shocking. This was enough to show just how terrifying the kick he had endured was. At the same time, almost everyone below the stage was stunned. Their brains had stopped working. They were completely unable to react in time to what had just happened before their eyes. How could it be that in a blink of an eye, Gao Mu, who seemed to have the upper hand, was suddenly kicked off the martial stage by his opponent, losing the duel at the speed of light? It was too sudden. So sudden that it was hard to believe, as if they were seeing an illusion. Gao Mu got knocked out just like that. In the crowd, Li Moyu's mouth gaped open, his eyes widened, and he was completely dumbfounded. On the way to the military region before departure, he had thought about showing off his skills during the special training, to surpass Lin Zikan in one fell swoop and become the top newcomer at Shan University. However, before he even had a chance to surpass Lin Zikan, he was defeated by an underling from the college entrance examination and was humiliated by him on the martial stage. And this very underling, when faced with Lin Zikan, was killed with a single kick. This win-lose comparison made him look like a complete loser. He found it somewhat hard to accept this reality. How is this possible? On the other side, Qin Chuan, known as the top freshman at Jing University, saw Gao Mu, who was only second to himself, get easily killed by Lin Zikan with a single kick, and his heart was greatly shaken with disbelief written all over his face. His own strength was not much stronger than Gao Mu's, and at the beginning of the month during Jing University's freshman contest, he had exerted a lot of effort to defeat Gao Mu and win the championship. Now, Gao Mu was killed with a single kick by Lin Zikan. Does this not mean that he too would be killed in a single kick if he faced Lin Zikan? Thinking of this, Qin Chuan's face was filled with doubt about life, wondering if he was dreaming. He could hardly believe the scene before him. How could Lin Zikan's strength be far superior to students from two major schools? Moreover, it was an overwhelming superiority, the kind where the second placer couldn't even see the tail lights. This made no sense at all. While everyone was still in shock, suddenly, a tall figure leapt up from below the stage and landed on the martial stage with a thud. It was a young soldier in camouflage uniform. Not very old, looking about 20 years old. Sensing his biological level, it was very strong, reaching the ordinary 8th tier. I originally thought that this year it would be our military region's people competing with the geniuses from the Machine God Corporation again. But I didn't expect that Shan University would produce such a genius like you. Perhaps this year, we have the opportunity for a three-way standoff, which would make the special training much more interesting. Just don't know if you, who have been a greenhouse flower in the campus for many years, have the strength to make it a three-way standoff, the young soldier said, examining Lin Zikan with interest, with a smile on his face. In his words, there was a clear disdain for students. It seemed as if in his eyes, whether students from Jing University or Shan University, were all insignificant. Care for a sparring match? The young soldier cracked his knuckles and looked at Lin Zikan with a smirk, asking. After speaking, he added, "Let me introduce myself, my name is Zhao Yuanzhong, 19 years old, this year I represent the military region in the special training, and you and I are competitors." Lin Zikan didn't listen to his self-introduction, his focus was all on the stakes, and he asked, "What's the wager?" Sparring was fine, but there had to be profit involved, otherwise, there was no point in wasting time on a match. That was his attitude towards sparring. The young soldier confidently said, "I have a spirit fruit worth 1.5 million that helps greatly in enhancing chi blood. If you win, this spirit fruit is yours." Okay. Lin Zikan accepted the challenge. Just an ordinary 8th tier weakling, he could kill with a casual kick. Not winning the spirit fruit would be missing out on a freebie. Just as the two were about to start fighting, suddenly, a middle-aged military officer with a square face stepped out of the crowd and shouted at them, "You two can spar, but no material wagers are allowed." No material wagers involved? Hearing this, Lin Zikan immediately lost interest in the sparring and said to the young soldier, "Forget it, no wager, no fight." After he spoke, without waiting for the young soldier to respond, he jumped off the martial stage and stopped sparring. Under the gazes of the crowd, he walked calmly to where Gao Mu sat on the ground, gasping in pain, and asked, "Classmate, when will you give me those 10 high-grade chi blood pills you spoke of? Gao Mu was silent for a moment, then somewhat reluctantly admitted defeat. I'll go to the dormitory now and get them for you. Then he got up from the ground and took Lin Zikin to his dormitory to get the chi blood pills. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan quickly followed, jogging to keep up, walking shoulder to shoulder with Lin Zikin, inseparable. She was very attached to Lin Zikin, wanting to be with him all the time. That Lin something Chen. The military-clad youth shouted at Lin Zikin, looking forward to your performance in tomorrow's special training, I hope you don't disappoint me. Lin Zikin ignored him and silently followed Gao Mu to collect his spoils of war. P.S. Waiting for support, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 232, 163, The Initiation Trial begins. In the evening, inside the dormitory, Lin Zikin sat cross-legged on the bed, undergoing the 4th time body refining. To achieve the goal of completing 5-time tempering before his sophomore year, he would practice body refining whenever he had spare time. After an indeterminate amount of time, Lin Zikin slowly opened his eyes and exhaled deeply, then summoned the progress bar of his body refining to check his progress. 4-time tempering skin, 12%. Only 12%. The efficiency of refining had slowed a bit compared to the 3rd tempering. But the slowdown wasn't much, and it was still acceptable. Xiao Chen, may I come in? Shen Qinghan's sweet voice came from outside the dormitory door. Even before Lin Zikin could reply, she used her spiritual power to open the door from afar and walked into the dormitory on her own accord. The couple didn't have so many formalities. If they wanted to enter, they entered. Why didn't you dry your hair after your shower? Lin Zikin looked at the incoming Shen Qinghan, noticing her wet hair, and couldn't help but chide her. Shen Qinghan took off her slippers and sat on the bed. I wanted to dry it too, but the dorm doesn't have a hairdryer. I couldn't even if I wanted to. Hearing her say that, Lin Zikin suddenly realized that indeed there was no hairdryer in the dormitory. This small single-room dorm had very few electrical appliances. Then let me help you dry it with my chi blood. Lin Zikin said and placed his hand on Shen Qinghan's hair, then with a thought, he released strands of warm blood chi power, slowly evaporating the moisture from her strands of hair. 2 minutes later, the moisture on the hair was almost completely evaporated. The hair was no longer wet and sticking together. Instead, it smoothly separated into strands, looking very soft and pleasing to the eye. You helped me dry my hair, so as a reward, let me make you feel good. Shen Qinghan smiled teasingly. After saying that, she gently pushed Lin Zikin down, moved the slightly obstructive bangs in front of her forehead behind her ear, then leaned over tenderly and began servicing Lin Zikin with water-like gentleness. Lin Zikin said nothing, closed his eyes, and quietly enjoyed it. About half an hour later, Shen Qinghan finished her service, climbed on top of Lin Zikin lying down, and looking playful, she said. Feeling good now? Good. Lin Zikin said with a satisfied expression. Shen Qinghan teased the hair strands that had slipped from behind her ear, her voice soft as she said, I made you happy. Don't you think you should reward me? Lin Zikin playfully poked her tender cheek and said with a smile, that happiness just now was in return for me drying your hair. Why should I reward you? I just want it. Shen Qinghan cooed softly. Lin Zikin pinched her cute buttocks and said affectionately with a chuckle, then get up, I'll go get your reward. There's really a reward. Shen Qinghan sat up, surprised and delighted. Lin Zikin also sat up, reached for the backpack on the bedside table, took out an exquisitely small medicine bottle from inside, and handed it to her, saying, Here, your reward. Isn't that the 10 high-grade chi blood pills you won today? Yes, they're all for you. Don't, keep some for yourself, why give them all to me? Shen Qinghan did not take the small medicine bottle handed to her. She just wanted a reward like a kiss from Lin Zikin and had never thought of accepting such valuable items. Although she and Lin Zikin were not strangers but childhood sweethearts who grew up together, she couldn't bring herself to accept these 10 high-grade chi blood pills worth $1 million so easily. At most, she could accept 1 pill and then had to slowly compensate Lin Zikin in their daily lives afterward. In any case, she couldn't take advantage of Lin Zikin without giving anything in return. The exchange had to be equal. Lin Zikin knew what Shen Qinghan was thinking with his gentle voice. He said, "I don't need these high-grade chi blood pills. Just a few laps around the sports field will increase my chi blood equivalent to the effect of a high-grade chi blood pill, giving them to me would be a pure waste. But you could give them to Aunt Xin and Uncle Sheng. My parents are ordinary people, they can't handle the powerful effects of high-grade chi blood pills." Having said that, Lin Zikin stuffed the small medicine bottle into Shen Qinghan's hand, looked into her eyes, and said seriously, "Don't worry about owing me anything. We're a family, your well-being is my well-being, understand?" Seeing Lin Zikin speaking so earnestly, Shen Qinghan had no reason to hesitate anymore and reluctantly accepted the small medicine bottle, pressing her lips together. She thought to herself that she would definitely repay Lin Zikin well in other ways in the future, making him earn back the favor with interest. Collecting her emotions slightly, Shen Qinghan leaned in and kissed Lin Zikin's cheek, her beautiful eyes curving as she smiled sweetly. "Thank you, Sugar Daddy, for the support. From now on, Han Han will serve you even harder. You little naughty girl, your talk is getting more and more provocative." Lin Zikin pinched Shen Qinghan's lips, teasing her with a laugh. Shen Qinghan pushed Lin Zikin down again, lying on top of him, gazing deeply into his eyes with affection, her voice meltingly soft as she asked, "Do you like it or not?" "I like it." Lin Zikin nodded honestly. Shen Qinghan smiled charmingly, brought her face close to Lin Zikin's ear and whispered even softer, "Daddy, Han Han can be even more provocative." After saying that, she leaned down to kiss him, pleasing Lin Zikin with her tender lips. She was very clear that at this stage, there wasn't much she could do to help Lin Zikin. The only thing she could do was to provide emotional value to Lin Zikin as his childhood sweetheart and occasional lover. And sometimes, with her not-so-skilled servicing skills, make him comfortable. The next day, 5 a.m. It was still dark outside. Lin Zikin got up, washed up, and went next door to wake up Shen Qinghan. Chapter 233, 163, The Initiation Trial Begins _2. After she finished washing up, I followed her to the cafeteria for breakfast, and then we both headed to the sports field to assemble. When the two of us arrived at the sports field, there weren't many people there yet. Just 7 individuals. They were Ma Ziwei, the 5 from the military area, and that beautiful new student from Kyoto University. As for the 5 from the Mechanical Academy, not a single one had arrived. At that moment, the 5 young men from the military area were enthusiastically chatting up the 2 girls, looking to get acquainted with these 2 high-value beauties. Ma Ziwei was rather aloof and didn't pay much attention to the 5 from the military area. On the contrary, the girl from Kyoto University seemed much more enthusiastic and was laughing and talking with the 5 men from the military area. "Morning." A young man with dark skin from the military area saw Lin Zikin coming and called out to him with a smile. This dark-skinned youth was the very person who had wanted to spar with Lin Zikin the day before, named Zhao Yuanzhong. "Morning." Lin Zikin politely responded. Zhao Yuanzhong was quite forward, proactively stepping up to chat with Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, asking curiously, "The 2 of you are always together? Are you siblings or a couple?" As he asked this question, the other 4 from the military area and the girl from Kyoto University all turned their heads to look over. Clearly, these people were all very interested in the relationship between Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan. Before Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan could respond, the aloof Ma Ziwei spoke up. "Those 2 are an engaged couple, so you guys shouldn't get your hopes up." At these words, everyone looked visibly disappointed. The 5 young men from the military area lamented that Shen Qinghan was already taken. The girl from Kyoto University felt sorry that Lin Zikan was off the market. Zhao Yuanzhong looked at Lin Zikan and said with an awkward smile, "Don't get me wrong, I didn't mean it that way. I was just curious." "I know." Lin Zikan gave Zhao Yuanzhong an out. Youthful boys understand each other, they all want to get to know a beautiful girl when they see one. The little thoughts in their minds are almost as transparent as glass, easily seen through at a glance. "I heard that the younger generation from the military area has all undergone training in the origin land." Feeling the atmosphere was a bit awkward, Lin Zikan smoothly changed the subject and asked Zhao Yuanzhong. He had always been curious about the origin land and, now that he was here at the military area, he wanted to take this opportunity to learn more about it. Zhao Yuanzhong, "Sort of been there, I guess." "Sort of?" Lin Zikan was puzzled. "If you've been there, you've been there, if not, you haven't." "What does sort of mean?" Zhao Yuanzhong explained, "The military area has an outpost within the origin land, and some of us young soldiers with ordinary biological levels are sometimes assigned to do odd jobs there. However, we can't leave the outpost. Being inside the outpost is considered being in the origin land, but without the ability to leave it and experience the raw competition outside. It's almost like having never been there at all. To truly enter the origin land, you must have a high biological level. It's impossible otherwise. Those with ordinary biological levels simply can't withstand the rejection from the border forces. They can only stay within the outpost, under the protection of its barrier." Border force rejection? This was the first time Lin Zikan had heard of this term and quickly asked, "What is border force rejection?" Zhao Yuanzhong continued to explain, "It's an invisible force that repels people from Earth when they enter the origin land. It's not very strong, but it significantly affects those with a biological level below high tier." Having said that, he laughed, "I know you'll probably ask next whether exotic beasts on Earth are affected by border force rejection. The answer is yes, they are subjected to an even stronger rejection. In fact, the power of many exotic beasts on Earth has been weakened by the border force. They would be much stronger in the origin land. In front of humans, they are almost invincible beings of the same order." Zhao Yuanzhong added, "Otherwise, do you think that on Earth, genetic integrators could defeat exotic beasts, which are the genetic source, if they were at the same biological level?" "I see." Lin Zikan nodded his head, now enlightened with quite a bit of useful information. These were things that couldn't be learned from books. Seeing Lin Zikan's look of realization, Zhao Yuanzhong couldn't help but feel puzzled. "Didn't the elders in your family tell you about these things?" "No." Lin Zikan shook his head. He didn't tell Zhao Yuanzhong that his parents were ordinary people, unaware of these matters and not even knowing of the existence of the origin land. So they chatted idly for a while. As time went on, the remaining participants for the special training arrived at the sports field one by one. In total, there were 20 people on the sports field. The military area, Shanghai University, Kyoto University, and the Mechanical Academy, each group had 5 people. When the time reached 7 a.m., a man leaped down from the rooftop of a building in front, hitting the ground with a thud and kicking up a large cloud of dust in front of everyone. As the dust settled, what came into view of the crowd was a middle-aged man in his 30s, wearing a camouflage uniform. Lin Zikan had a thought and sensed the man's biological level. It was high, reaching the senior 6th order. This strength, in the 2 big schools, would definitely be that of an academy dean. And moreover, the dean of the 2 strongest academies, Evolution College and Mechanical Academy. "Is everyone here?" The man glanced over the scattered crowd and asked loudly. With an equally resonant voice, Zhao Yuanzhong reported, "Report to the instructor, all are present." He was the captain among the 5 people from the military area. However, his strength was not the strongest, he was simply the most proactive. After hearing Zhao Yuanzhong's answer, the man nodded and then introduced himself to those present who didn't know him. "My name is Liu Tianrong, I'll be your instructor for this special training, you can call me Instructor Lu. With just that brief introduction, he started giving orders to the people in front of him. Now, starting with the 5 from the military area, introduce yourselves in a simple manner. In order. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Yuanzhong, who was at the very front of the 5 from the military area, immediately began his self-introduction. Military area, Zhao Yuanzhong. The 4 behind him also followed in report. Military area, He Yancheng. Military area, Lu Ruhi. After the military area finished reporting, the others also began to report one after the other in the same fashion. Mech God Group, Mo Yanwei. Mech God Group, Zhang Kai. Mech God Group, Zhu Shishi. Kyoto University, Qin Chuan. Kyoto University, Gao Mu. Kyoto University, Shang Guanyueying. Shanghai University, Lin Zikan. Shanghai University, Li Moyu. Shanghai University, Shen Qinghan. As everyone's voice sounded out loudly, Lu Tianrong, the instructor, had already deeply memorized each person's corresponding appearance. After the roll call was over, Lu Tianrong addressed everyone, I won't say too much nonsense. You all are here for the purpose of participating in the special training to improve yourselves. Now, I'm going to form some temporary teams. There will be 4 teams in total. Once you're divided, you'll immediately start the entrance assessment. After the entrance assessment is over, you'll then face the real special training. After finishing his words, Lu Tianrong wasted no time and immediately started dividing everyone into teams randomly. Luo Yongjian from Shanghai University, go to the Mech God Group. Shang Guanyueying from Kyoto University, you're to go to Shanghai University. He Yancheng from the military area, you're to go to Kyoto University. Zhang Kai from the Mech God Group, you're to join the team over at Shanghai University. Zhao Yuanzhong from the military area, head over to Shanghai University. It took about 2 minutes for Lu Tianrong to completely shake up the 4 teams. Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan were lucky, they hadn't been moved to other teams and remained as a pair in the Shanghai University team. But the original 3 teammates had all been transferred out. Those replaced with Kyoto University's Shang Guanyueying, Mech God Group's Zhang Kai, and Zhao Yuanzhong from the military area. Lin Zikan saw the pattern in instructor Lu Tianrong's team assignments. It was to ensure the teams were sufficiently mixed, comprising individuals from Shan University, Kyoto University, as well as the Mech God Group and the military area. This was definitely not a random arrangement, and there must be some special purpose to it. But this purpose, for now, was still unknown. Lin Zikan thought it must be related to cooperation, assessing the team capabilities when paired with strangers. P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 234, 164, Intelligence Barrier. All 4 teams were shuffled and reorganized. Instructor Lu Tianrong led everyone to a regular building and stopped. The building was called regular because it was a cube with equal length, width, and height. This building has 3 floors. Each floor is set up with challenges. If you clear all challenges and reach the roof within 3 hours, you'll pass the assessment, he explained. The time is now 7:23 am. The entrance exam will start in 7 minutes. On the first floor, there are doors in the middle of each of the 4 walls. When the entrance exam begins, the doors will automatically open. When the time comes, you will enter through different doors and take the assessment as a team. That's all I have to say. I hope all 4 teams clear the challenges smoothly. After giving these instructions, Lu Tianrong leaped onto the building's roof and disappeared from everyone's sight. After he left, a young soldier from the military area said to the people of the other 3 teams, "Our team will enter through door A. You all can take the other doors." The young soldier spoke as if it were a matter of course, exuding the atmosphere of a superior. The members of the other teams immediately felt disgruntled upon hearing this. One of the youths from the Mech God Company spoke up. Why should we just go because you said so? Why don't your team take another door? Why? The young soldier laughed, his eyes filled with disdain, because I'm the strongest. The one with the bigger fist makes the rules. If you don't agree, we can settle it right now. Who's afraid of whom? Bring it on. I'm in too. Whoever's stronger gets to choose the door first. I, Mo Yanwei, have never been afraid of anyone. Aside from the team Zi Chen was in, the other three teams started arguing. They were all very competitive and none would back down. Let's go to door D. Zhao Yuanzhong and Zhang Kai from Lin Zikin's team almost simultaneously suggested. Both men were ranked lowest among their respective teams of 5 in the military area and the Mech God Company, so they were quite realistic about not competing with the other teams. Apart from their lack of strength, they had 2 girls in the team who were significantly holding them back. They definitely couldn't win against the other 3 teams. Lin Zikin had no objection to their suggestion and said indifferently, then let's go, we'll take door D. The 2 girls had no objections either, silently following the 3 boys from their team toward door D. After arriving at door D, Zhao Yuanzhong turned to face the 4 others and said, we 5 are now a team, and a team must have a core leader to perform at its best. So, I think we should elect someone as the team leader. What do you think? I think that's a good idea. Zhang Kai expressed his support and then asked, the question is, how do we choose our team leader? Zhao Yuanzhong self-nominated, I have several years of experience as a small team leader, and my biological level is as high as the ordinary 8th order. How about I take the role of team leader? I have no objections. Lin Zikin said indifferently. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan and Sheng Guanyueying also said one after the other. Neither do I. Me too. Both girls had only an ordinary 6th order biological level, so seeing someone with a high level of ordinary 8th order willing to be the leader, there was no reason not to support him. Shen Qinghan had wanted to support Lin Zikin initially, but Lin Zikin had no intention of becoming the team leader. I object. After the other 3 agreed, Zhang Kai stood up in opposition. He looked at Zhao Yuanzhong and said, I lead a 100-man team in the Mech God Company, and my leadership abilities are exceptional. Moreover, my strength is also formidable. 2 weeks ago, I took down an ordinary 8th order exotic beast on my own. Based on all this, I believe I'm more suited for the position of team leader. For a moment, the situation turned a bit awkward. Everyone was surprised that someone was contesting for the position of team leader. Zhao Yuanzhong, then how about we fight it out, and the strongest will be the leader. Let's do this. Zhang Kai was ready to fight. Sheng Guanyueying thought this was not a good idea and quickly tried to dissuade them, don't do this. If someone gets hurt, it will affect the entrance exam later. After speaking, she suggested, how about we decide by voting instead? Lin Zikin, Shen Qinghan, and I will vote, and whoever gets more votes between you 2 will be the team leader. That works. I have no objections. Zhao Yuanzhong and Zhang Kai said in turn. Right after speaking, Zhang Kai immediately looked at Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan, trying to win them over. Zi Chen, Xiao Shen, we've known each other for so long, make sure to vote for me. Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuanzhong immediately felt unhappy and objected, no, that's not fair. He has 2 acquaintances on the team, I'm bound to lose in a vote. To be fair, let's have a contest, a race. We'll run from here to the old banyan tree a few hundred meters away. Whoever gets there first will be the team leader. Zhao Yuanzhong pointed to a centuries-old banyan tree hundreds of meters away, his voice carrying a hint of confidence. Zhang Kai said, fine, let's do it your way. Zhao Yuanzhong turned to Lin Zikin and said, Lin Zikin, could you please be the judge? Sure. Lin Zikin nodded. Once both men were in position and ready to start, he called out loudly, run. At his call, Zhao Yuanzhong and Zhang Kai instantly dashed out. Both were incredibly fast, their bodies blurring into afterimages, friction in the air producing a buzzing roar that echoed in the eardrums. So fast! Shang Guanyueying was shocked. At Jingda, she was the fourth-ranked prodigy among the new students, with formidable strength and highly regarded. Yet now, witnessing the speed of Zhao Yuanzhong and Zhang Kai, she felt outclassed. The velocity at which Zhao Yuanzhong and Zhang Kai burst forth was even faster than Qin Chuan, the strongest at Jingda. Furthermore, the gap was clearly an entire level apart, noticeably significant. Chapter 235, 164, Intelligence Barrier _2. I used to think that students from Jinda were the strongest, but it turns out the real powerhouses come from the military area and robotics group. I've been a frog at the bottom of the well. Shang Guanyueying shook her head and chuckled ruefully. Standing beside her, Shen Qinghan really wanted to tell her. Indeed, the people from the military area and robotics group are much stronger than those from Jinda, but they are not the strongest. The strongest one is Lin Zichen, standing right next to you. Soon, the speed contest ended. Zhao Yuanzhong crossed under the banyan tree slightly ahead of the others, winning the speed contest. Zhang Kai was somewhat unconvinced. Don't think you're really faster than me, I just reacted slower at the start. It could have been anyone's game. Zhao Yuanzhong laughed too. Reaction time is part of the race, part of one's capabilities. If you lose, you lose. Why make so many excuses? Zhang Kai said no more, otherwise he would indeed appear to be a sore loser. Zhao Yuanzhong duly became the team leader. Captain, since you're from the military area, you must be very familiar with this building. Tell us about the challenges inside, Shang Guanyueying said to Zhao Yuanzhong. Zhao Yuanzhong shook his head. You think too much. I'm also here for specialized training, and I definitely don't know the challenges inside. Otherwise, what would be the point of the training? Is that so? Shang Guanyueying felt it was a pity. Very soon. The time reached 7:30 am. The D gate in front of the five slowly opened. Let's go in. Zhao Yuanzhong charged in first. Lin Zichen was not as eager, following at a leisurely pace. Upon entering, they were greeted by a room transformed into steel. The floor was steel. The walls were steel. Everywhere they looked, there was steel. Lin Zichen glanced around and noticed the walls were riddled with holes of uniform size. They looked like the dark muzzles of guns, ready to shoot bullets at any moment. The others noticed these holes as well. Shang Guanyueying said, those aren't all gun barrels, are they? Zhang Kai replied, most likely are. Zhao Yuanzhong didn't say anything, instead, he focused and activated the exotic beast gene within his body, which instantly covered him in a layer of hard scales. His eyes too, turned fierce and sharp, as if they could peer through everything in the world. A second-level genetic integrator, fused with the genes of an armored earth dragon and a ferocious great eagle. After a glance at Zhao Yuanzhong, Lin Zichen quickly came to this conclusion. I'll charge ahead, follow me. After dropping this line, Zhao Yuanzhong took a quick step and dashed toward the iron door at the front. As he crossed a beam of infrared light, the holes in the surrounding walls immediately expelled a barrage of bullets enveloped in gun smoke, showering down on him densely. Tat! 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 The sound of a machine gun firing erupted. Even the scales on Zhao Yuanzhong's body were easily shattered and pierced by the bullets. His body riddled with bullet holes. He couldn't hold on. Without being reckless, Zhao Yuanzhong retreated to a safe spot right away. They're armor-piercing rounds, I can't hold them off, he said while checking the bullet holes on his body, a slight frown on his face. At the same time, he was secretly relieved that his scales were thick enough, otherwise, he might have ended up as riddled as a lotus root slice. Let me try. Zhang Kai raised his arms, revealing a row of dark gun barrels. Then, he madly sprayed bullets towards those holes on the wall. The bullets from his arms were just as powerful as those coming from the wall. In less than half a minute, most of the holes on the wall were blocked and the guns jammed inside the wall. "All right, let's rush now." Zhang Kai stowed away the gun barrels on his arms and quickly charged toward the front iron door. The others followed swiftly behind. Lin Zichen deliberately walked slowly, staying behind Shen Qinghan, protecting her all the way to ensure she wouldn't be hit by the armor-piercing rounds if she couldn't evade in time. Tat! 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 The remaining holes in the wall, not jammed by the bullets, continued their duty, firing armor-piercing rounds and incessantly spraying at the group. Unfortunately, there were too few left, not enough to pose a threat. The group easily dodged and swiftly reached the front of the iron door. "There's no handle, no keyhole, and no code lock. How are we supposed to open this door?" Shang Guanyueying said, frowning. Zhao Yuanzhong replied, "What else can we do but break it down with force?" With that, he lifted his leg and kicked fiercely at the door. A loud bang sounded. The iron door didn't budge at all, extremely sturdy and impossible to kick open. "Let me give it a try." Zhang Kai activated the hydraulic devices on his arms and threw a fierce punch at the metal door. Similarly, a loud bang rang out. This time, the metal door moved. A clear fist imprint appeared on it, announcing that the door had sustained significant damage. "It works." Shang Guanyueying's face lit up with joy. Zhang Kai recharged the hydraulics and with another bang, he struck the metal door, hitting precisely the same spot as the previous imprint. In an instant, the fist imprint turned into a dent, furthering the damage and bringing them one step closer to breaking through the door. Bang! 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 Zhang Kai kept hitting the door with punch after punch. 10 punches, 20 punches, 30 punches. After 35 consecutive punches, he had completely deformed the metal door. But at this point, Zhang Kai couldn't take it anymore. His arms had been deformed by the recoil from punching the door, which caused the hydraulic device to get damaged and stop working. Fortunately, the door was already deformed and not as solid as before. Zhao Yuanzhong took Zhang Kai's place, raising his leg and kicking the door fiercely. When tired of kicking, he rested, letting someone else take over. Lin Zichen could have kicked the door off its hinges with one strike, but he didn't do so with full force. Instead, he used the strength of a mere ordinary 8th level to kick the door steadily and consistently. He held back because he wanted to give Shen Qinghan a sense of participation. Otherwise, by simply clearing the obstacle with one kick, the entry assessment would lose its meaning for Shen Qinghan and become nothing but a waste of time. After kicking for less than a minute, Lin Zichen pretended to be tired and stepped aside to make room. Shen Qinghan quickly caught on and took over immediately, kicking the door with all her might. Bang! 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 Feeling her legs go numb, she stopped kicking, stepping aside to let Shang Guanyueying take her place. One by one, they worked together in this manner. After about half an hour, only to hear a loud boom, they finally succeeded in kicking the door down. It was Zhao Yuanzhong who had done it. Rubbing his tingling right leg, he said with a look of distress, "It's numb. The first obstacle is this tough, how are we going to handle the next two?" Zhang Kai said, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Having said that, he stepped over the fallen door and walked quickly towards the second floor. Seeing this, the others followed suit. Lin Zichen also walked at the end of the group, ensuring Shen Qinghan's safety. Upon reaching the second floor, the moment they entered, Lin Zichen saw a display screen on the wall. It was showing the progress of the 4 teams clearing the obstacles. He looked closer and saw that teams A, B, and C had already moved on to the third obstacle. Only his team D had just finished the first obstacle and was on to the second, moving at a pitifully slow rate. Damn it, how can those bastards clear the obstacles so fast? We're just at the second obstacle, and they've already advanced to the third, a bunch of freaks. Seeing the progress bar on the display screen, Zhang Kai felt deeply hit and began to doubt his life choices. Zhao Yuanzhong, too, was getting anxious and quickly urged the four of them, "Stop looking, let's move on, no dawdling." He knew his team was bound to come in last, but he didn't want it to be too embarrassing. The faster they got through the obstacles, the more face he could save. Quickly, everyone entered the second obstacle. It was another metal room. But what was different were the walls all around, which had no bullet holes, only the wall in front of them with a metal door that had a display screen installed on it. Above the door, the word intelligence was inscribed. So was this obstacle testing their intelligence? Thinking this, Lin Zikan walked straight towards the door with the display screen, to test if he would be under attack. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan quickly followed. "Be careful!" Shang Guanyueying cautioned the two as they strode directly towards the door. However, as they walked, they encountered no attacks. As expected, this obstacle was indeed a test of intelligence and wouldn't attack them with a sudden hail of bullets like the first one, thought Lin Zikan to himself. Behind him, Zhao Yuanzhong, Zhang Kai, and Shang Guanyueying, seeing that it was safe to walk directly over, immediately quickened their pace. Lin Zikan stopped in front of the door, curiously examining the display screen on it. In the display, there appeared a virtual character continuously playing rock paper scissors. Next to the virtual character, there were 3 pieces of text with prompts. Win once, the metal door opens by 2 centimeters. Tie once, the metal door opens by 1 centimeter. Lose once, the metal door closes by 3 centimeters, and a fierce attack will be launched. P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 236, 165, apart from Team D, Teams A, B, and C were completely wiped out. Rock paper scissors? Lin Zikan was a bit dumbfounded by the prompt on the display screen. Could rock paper scissors even be called an intelligence test? Was there some kind of mistake? It probably wasn't as simple as it appeared on the surface. There must have been some hidden mechanism. With that thought in mind, Lin Zikan seriously took in the surroundings of the room to see if there was anything special. The walls were made of pure metal. There was a lamp on the ceiling, and the light was very glaring. On the right side of the wall, there was a window. The glass on the window was thick and opaque, it could serve as a mirror. To the left, on the wall, there was an exhaust fan, buzzing as it circulated air between the inside and the outside. Beyond that, there was nothing else in the room. After such a simple survey of the room, 3 methods for clearing the level flashed through Lin Zikan's mind. As for whether they would work and if they could clear the level, he would have to verify them to know. However, there was no rush to verify them. He decided to let Shen Qinghan have a go first to give her a sense of participation. At the same time, the 4 people behind him were puzzled after reading the text on the display screen. Rock paper scissors. Shang Guanyueying was thoroughly confused. How does this have anything to do with intelligence? Zhao Yuanzhong scratched the back of his head, looking somewhat naive. I think it's a bit related to intelligence, after all, it's somewhat a psychological gamble. Zhang Kai was unconvinced. We're playing against a virtual character. Just a cold computer program without emotions, where's the psychological gamble in that? Shen Qinghan didn't offer an opinion. Her beautiful, slender eyebrows furrowed slightly, as if she was deep in thought. Zhang Kai turned to Lin Zikan and asked, "Zi Chen, you did really well in school during junior high and racked up awards in various city-level competitions. Do you have any clue?" "No." Lin Zikan lied with his eyes open. Zhang Kai looked somewhat disappointed and then turned to Shen Qinghan. "Xiao Shen, I remember your grades were pretty good too. Any insights?" Shen Qinghan replied uncertainly, "I think it might be a pattern recognition problem." "A pattern recognition problem?" Zhang Kai was confused. He had always struggled academically since childhood, and after finishing junior high, he went on to become a street thug. He couldn't quite grasp what Shen Qinghan was saying. Zhao Yuanzhong didn't understand either. He had dropped out of middle school to become an apprentice at a martial arts school, where he excelled with his exceptional physical aptitude and was then introduced to the army by his master. Unlike the two boys, Shang Guanyueying was a genuine top student. She understood Shen Qinghan's words and said, "You mean, the virtual character that plays rock paper scissors on the display screen has a pattern to it?" Shen Qinghan nodded, "Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, but to be certain, we'll have to verify it in the game." After listening to the two girls, Zhao Yuanzhong offered himself up eagerly, "I'm not as quick-witted as you, so I'll be the guinea pig and play against the virtual character to provide you with data to analyze the pattern." Zhang Kai added, "Count me in too." Seeing that both men had offered, Lin Zikan had no choice but to follow, "Me as well. I'll go first, and if I can't handle it anymore, you two can take over." Zhao Yuanzhong wanted to impress Shang Guanyueying, showcasing his masculine charm to see if there was a chance to develop a relationship with her. Soon, he walked up to the display screen, stopping opposite the virtual character and raising his hand to make a gesture for rock paper scissors. As he raised his hand, the virtual character on the screen also lifted its hand to make a rock paper scissors gesture, looking very intelligent. "I'm going to start playing now. You all stand back a bit in case I lose and get attacked. I don't want to accidentally hurt you," Zhao Yuanzhong considerately told the two girls. The girls weren't being difficult and immediately retreated a few steps away from Zhao Yuanzhong. But their eyes stayed fixed on the display screen, ready to remember each move the virtual character made in rock paper scissors, to see if they could discern any pattern. Seeing that the girls had stepped back, Zhao Yuanzhong didn't want to waste any more time and immediately began to play rock paper scissors with the virtual character. Perhaps due to beginner's luck or for some other reason, he won the first game. He threw rock, and the virtual character threw scissors. "Congratulations, you've won." Those words flashed on the display screen. The next second, the metal door automatically moved upward by 2 centimeters, forming a small gap at the bottom. "Not bad, lucky start." Zhao Yuanzhong revealed a smile on his face. Just as he was smiling, a 10-second countdown appeared on the display screen. 10s, 9s, 3s, 2s, 1s. The new round of rock paper scissors begins. With the conclusion of the countdown, the virtual character on the display screen immediately raised its hand to play again. Its actions were no longer synchronized with Zhao Yuanzhong's. It independently threw scissors with an expressionless face. Zhao Yuanzhong didn't manage to react in time to play, and didn't make a move. "Unfortunately, you've lost." As this text prompt appeared. The next second, the metal door that had opened a 2 centimeter gap abruptly dropped down and closed, sealing tightly against the floor. At the same time, all but Lin Zikan suddenly changed expression and cried out in pain. As punishment for losing the rock-paper-scissors game, the entire room was electrified. The intensity of the electric current was very high. Shen Qinghan and Shang Guanyueying, with their relatively weaker strength at the ordinary 6th order, were directly shocked into collapsing on the floor, their faces filled with agony. Zhao Yuanzhong fared better, managing to stand up with the support of the metal door. Zhang Kai got the worst of it. His body contained many precision electronic components, which were now malfunctioning due to the electric shock, leaving him paralyzed on one side. In comparison to the other four, Lin Zikan seemed to be in a much better condition. He had completed the 3rd stage body refinement, and his physical strength was comparable to that of an advanced 2nd-rank creature. Chapter 237, 165, apart from Team D, Teams A, B, and C were completely wiped out. I just felt a little numb in my body. Beyond that, there were no other discomforts. The only peculiar thing was that a notification appeared before my eyes. You are undergoing a high-intensity electric shock attack. electrical resistance +1 +1 +1 +1 +1. It was the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger principle in action. The more I was electrocuted, the higher my electrical resistance became. Approximately 10 seconds later, the high-intensity electric shock attack finally stopped. Both girls were shocked badly, sitting powerlessly on the ground, limbs too weak to stand up. Zhang Kai had it even worse than them, with many of his electronic components damaged, turning him into a disabled person on the spot, struggling even to lift his hand. Zhao Yuanzhong, having stronger physical fitness, could barely stand up. Lin Zikan, how come you're all right? Seeing Lin Zikan standing as if nothing had happened, Zhao Yuanzhong was immediately filled with confusion. Lin Zikan explained, I've never been very afraid of electricity since I was little, my electrical resistance is far above the average person. Zhao Yuanzhong's eyes widened, really? There's such a physique. Tens. Nines. A countdown started appearing on the display screen. Shang Guanyueying noticed it and immediately called out anxiously to Zhao Yuanzhong, Captain, the next round of rock-paper-scissors is about to begin. At her word, Zhao Yuanzhong snapped to attention, quickly standing in position facing the display screen, ready for the rock-paper-scissors. At the moment the countdown ended, he played rock-paper-scissors with the virtual character simultaneously. Both chose paper. It was a tie. Not bad, it's a tie. The next second after the notification appeared, the tightly closed iron door automatically moved up 1 centimeter. Then, another countdown began appearing on the display screen. Tens. Nines. Crap, it's starting again. Watching the countdown on the display screen, Zhao Yuanzhong felt his scalp tingle. Lin Zikan guessed, it seems that once the rock-paper-scissors game starts, it can't be stopped until you either clear the level or get shocked out of the game. Hearing this, Zhao Yuanzhong felt like spitting blood. Give me a break, what kind of devilish stage is this? Quickly. The countdown ended. Zhao Yuanzhong and the virtual character played rock-paper-scissors simultaneously again. The former chose paper, the latter scissors. Unfortunately, you lost. Ah! With a scream, the other 4 people, aside from Lin Zikan, were once again shocked numb. The iron door, which had barely opened 1 centimeter, was also firmly closed once more. 10 seconds later, the electric shock ended. Shen Qinghan and Shang Guanyueying were shocked to the point where they could only lean against the wall unable to stand. Zhao Yuanzhong was shocked to the point of kneeling on the ground. Zhang Kai was still the worst off, directly shocked until his face was numb. Only Lin Zikan stood unaffected as ever, looking as if nothing had happened. Tens. Nines. The countdown began yet again. Unable to withstand it, Zhao Yuanzhong moved aside and said to Lin Zikan, I'm numb from the shock and can't stand up for a while. You're not afraid of electricity, so it's your turn. Okay. Lin Zikan responded and walked in front of the display screen to face the virtual character. Twos. Ones. A new round of rock-paper-scissors begins. The countdown ended, and Lin Zikan and the virtual character played rock-paper-scissors at the same time. He chose scissors, and the virtual character chose rock. Unfortunately, you lost. As soon as this notification appeared, the metal room instantly became electrified. Ah! Shen Qinghan and the others were shocked numb once again. Lin Zikan continued to play rock-paper-scissors. He tried 6 times. Won once. Tied once. Lost 4 times. Lin Zikan, do you even know how to play rock-paper-scissors? You've lost 4 times out of 6, are you trying to electrocute us to death? Zhao Yuanzhong, directly shocked into a state of grievance, couldn't help but let out a complaint. Zhang Kai, lying paralyzed on the ground, struggled to lift his head to look towards Shen Qinghan and asked, Xiao Shen, have you figured out any patterns? Shen Qinghan shook her head, not yet, there are too few samples. Zhang Kai despaired. This wasn't crossing through stages. This was outright torture for the mechanically modified human. Everyone was being shocked numb. Tens. Nines. Soon, a new round of rock paper scissors began. One round after another. Linziken's face darkened. After 10 tries, he had lost 7 times, leaving the other 4 electrocuted to the brink of death. All of them lay powerlessly on the ground, with bodies twitching slightly. Their faces looked terrible. Linziken looked back at the 4 of them. Seeing that their injuries weren't severe but only painful, he let go of his worries and continued to play rock paper scissors with the virtual character. As for Zhang Kai, his electronic parts were damaged, but he himself wasn't hurt much. It didn't matter much. Xiao Chen, my neck's gone numb, I can't lift my head for a while and I can't see the display screen. Shen Qinghan, nearly shocked into a vegetative state, could only seek Linziken's help with a weak voice. She wanted Linziken to help her to the screen so she could see the virtual character's rock paper scissors clearly. Then I'll carry you over to see. Linziken said as he walked over to Shen Qinghan and bent down to lift her up. He held her effortlessly with one hand, allowing her to sit on his forearm, lean against his chest, and rest her head on his shoulder. It looked as if a father was carrying a young daughter. Great strength allowed for much liberty. 3s. 2s. The new round of rock paper scissors was about to start. Seeing this, Linziken hurriedly carried Shen Qinghan over. In the moment the countdown ended, he and the virtual character threw their hands at the same time. He chose scissors, and the virtual character chose rock. Unfortunately, you lost. Ah! The people in the room were shocked numb yet again. Shen Qinghan didn't scream, but she, too, was shocked to the point where her mouth slightly opened, looking very uncomfortable. But no matter how uncomfortable it was, for the sake of successfully clearing the stage, she had to endure. Firmly memorizing every move of the virtual character, trying to see if she could discern a pattern. Unfortunately, fate was not on her side. In the following time, Linziken played rock paper scissors with the virtual character 23 times, and Shen Qinghan was still unable to discern any patterns. The virtual character's rock paper scissors seemed to have no pattern at all. Xiao Chen, I can't do this anymore. If I get shocked again I feel like I might wet myself. Chapter 238, 165, apart from Team D, Teams A, B, and C were completely wiped out. Shen Qinghan clamped her legs tightly, bringing her mouth close to Linziken's ear and whispered almost inaudibly. She had already been shocked to the point of her consciousness blurring, gradually losing control of her body. She felt she could no longer control the water inside her body. It was about to come out. To avoid wetting her pants in front of everyone, she had no choice but to seek help from Linziken, asking him to finish the level. I understand. Linziken said and then put Shen Qinghan down. Afterward, he swiftly moved to the window and took down a piece of glass. Then, before the countdown ended, he returned in front of the display screen and positioned the glass toward the virtual character on the display. The aim was to make the virtual character play rock paper scissors with its reflection in the mirror, causing a continuous stalemate. As for whether it would work, Linziken wasn't sure. In any case, he would try and see. If it didn't work, he would try other methods of cracking it, like hacking into the display screen to modify the program. If that still didn't work, then he would break through the door by force. Behind him, Shen Qinghan and others all widened their eyes, staring closely at the display screen, praying in their hearts that Linziken's method would surely work. 3s. 2s. 1s. New round of rock paper scissors begins. After the countdown ended, the virtual character on the display raised its hand for rock paper scissors against the glass, choosing scissors. At this moment, Shen Qinghan and the others felt very anxious. Everyone's nerves were tense. They braced themselves for the potential shock. Soon, a text prompt popped up on the display screen. Not bad. It's a tie. Simultaneously, the tightly closed iron door automatically moved up by 1 centimeter. Zhao Yuanzhong, did it really work? Zhang Kai, man, it's that simple to beat the level? We got shocked for nothing. Shang Guanyueying, Lin Zikan is so smart. Shen Qinghan didn't speak, just slightly furrowed her pretty brows, feeling very annoyed. If only my observational skills could have been a little better. Then no one would have had to be shocked so many times just now. My thinking is still not flexible enough. Thinking this, Shen Qinghan felt filled with loss. She realized something, that her difference with Lin Zikan was comprehensive. Not only was there a gap in combat power, but also in intellect. The gap was so large she couldn't see any possibility of catching up. Lin Zikan noticed Shen Qinghan's unusual behavior and said soothingly, "Let me do it. The first thing I would have thought of would also be to find a pattern. No one can be sure which method is correct. We can only try one by one." After finishing, Lin Zikan added, "Without your attempts, I couldn't have found the right method to clear the level so quickly." Indeed. Shen Qinghan's face revealed a hint of a smile. However, this smile seemed somewhat forced, with an appearance of feigning happiness. She wasn't foolish, she knew Lin Zikan was comforting her. The premise of being able to try one by one was having multiple methods to clear the level. But she, from beginning to end, had only thought of one method to find a pattern, without even the opportunity to try and fail. Not bad, it's a tie. Not bad, it's a tie. Not bad, it's a tie. As these text prompts flashed across the screen, the initially sealed iron door had now opened a gap over 30 centimeters wide. Lin Zikan and the others, seeing this, squeezed through one after the other, successfully breaking through the second level. They quickly walked up the stairs. They arrived at the third floor. Just like when they went up to the second floor, as soon as they entered, they saw a display screen on the wall. It showed the progress of each team in clearing the levels. Lin Zikan stepped forward to check and found that teams A, B, and C hadn't cleared it yet and were still tackling the third challenge. The other four also crowded around to look. Among them, Zhao Yuanzhong was quite surprised, they still haven't cleared it. Shang Guanyueying frowned, "I remember when we just entered the second challenge, they were already fighting the third one. It's been so long now, and they still haven't cleared it. Is the third challenge that difficult?" Zhang Kai's face was somber. "Our team's strength was already on the weaker side, and we expended so much energy just to overcome the second challenge. We're even weaker now. It seems difficult to clear the third challenge." Shen Qinghan didn't speak, silently massaging her body on the side to speed up her blood circulation and recover as quickly as possible. With Lin Zikan there, she didn't need to worry about clearing the levels. Her only concern was whether she could perform exceptionally well and play a significant role. Instead of needing Lin Zikan to come to the rescue every time they faced difficulties. Everyone has spent a lot of energy. How about we sit down and rest for a while? Lin Zikan suggested. Zhang Kai was the first to agree, indeed, we should rest. Many electronic parts on my body are malfunctioning. I need to check them thoroughly. I'll fix as much as I can to recover as much fighting strength as possible. Zhao Yuanzhong nodded and, as the team captain, said, then everyone should rest up. Once our fighting strength has somewhat recovered, we'll go in and challenge the third level. So, the five of them stopped in front of the entrance to the third challenge and took a short break. Lin Zikan walked up to Shen Qinghan, his voice gentle, "Han Han, come sit here with me. I'll massage your muscles to speed up the recovery." "Okay." Shen Qinghan responded and obediently went over to sit down with Lin Zikan. Then, she skillfully stretched her legs out on Lin Zikan's thighs for him to massage. Lin Zikan began massaging her promptly. His technique was even more skilled than a professional masseur. If offered on the market, it would cost at least 1,000 yuan per hour. "It's really nice to have a boyfriend help massage," Shang Guanyueying said with a face full of envy. Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuanzhong immediately stepped forward and offered cheerfully, "If you don't mind, I can give you a massage. I often help people relax their muscles, and my technique is very skilled." Shang Guanyueying smiled and declined, "Thank you for your kindness, but let's not. It's not quite appropriate." Zhao Yuanzhong laughed, "That's true, the proprieties of men and women should not be overlooked. I was too enthusiastic." Zhang Kai, who was checking his mechanical parts, chuckled upon hearing, "You're wishful thinking. It's just that she doesn't want you to massage her. If Ziai Chen offered to help her, she would have surely agreed." Zhao Yuanzhong was quite embarrassed and even felt like hitting Zhang Kai. Shang Guanyueying also gave Zhang Kai a cold look, quite dissatisfied, "I wouldn't, so don't talk nonsense." Although what Zhang Kai said was the truth, saying it so bluntly was deliberately disgusting to hear. Zhao Yuanzhong couldn't stand Zhang Kai's behavior and was about to retort. However, before he could speak, his words suddenly got stuck in his throat and he couldn't say a word. He witnessed an unbelievable scene. On the display screen ahead, Team C was shown to have failed their challenge. What was going on? On the other side, Shen Qinghan also noticed the progress on the display screen and saw Team C had failed their challenge. She felt surprised and immediately told Lin Zikan, her voice carrying a hint of astonishment, "Xiao Chen, look at the display, Team C has failed their challenge." Hearing this, Lin Zikan looked up at the display screen on the wall and saw that Team C indeed had failed. Zhang Kai and Shang Guanyueying, upon hearing, also looked at the screen. Seeing Team C's failure, both of them at first thought they had seen incorrectly. Was this entrance examination so difficult? Could a team actually fail a challenge? That's impossible, right? While everyone was still shocked by the news of Team C's failure, an even more unbelievable scene unfolded. The display showed Team B and Team A, in just a short span of 2 seconds, successively failing their challenges and being eliminated. Everyone was stunned, thinking they were hallucinating. After a moment of realization, they all exclaimed in confusion. "Zhao Yuanzhong, how come teams A, B, and C were suddenly wiped out all at once?" "Zhang Kai, forget about resting now. Even teams A, B, and C have been taken down. We, being even weaker, have no chance of clearing it. Shang Guanyueying, what's the deal with this third challenge? How can there be a group wipeout just like that?" Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan remained silent. Among them, Lin Zikan's thoughts flickered, and he immediately spread his perception to see what was going on inside the third challenge. P.S. Bowing for recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Chapter 239, 166, It's time to make a move. Lin Zikan's perception radiated out in an instant, saturating the entire corridor. Under the amplification of danger perception, it quickly spread throughout the entire third floor, engaging in 360-degree perception with no dead angles. There were 4 rooms on the third floor. In the middle of each room stood a fully armed robot. Among them, 3 robots were covered with marks of being attacked. Bullet holes, fist indents, blade scars, they were riddled with them. However, there were no fatal injuries, all were superficial wounds on the surface. His gaze fell on the ground, where he saw fresh blood that had not yet coagulated, broken teeth, and shattered mechanical limbs. Most likely, someone from the 3 teams that had just failed to clear the level had been injured by the robots. From the traces left at the scene, the injuries looked serious. From this, it was evident that the robots in the room were not only highly defensive but also incredibly offensive. "Is everyone ready?" Zhao Yuanzhong looked at everyone and said, "If we're ready, let's go in and find out what's happening." Shang Guanyueying said, "I still feel numb and can't muster any strength, how about we rest a bit more?" Zhang Kai stood up from the ground, looking down and fixing his arm, and said indifferently, "The ABC teams stronger than ours have all been wiped out, we're certainly going to be wiped out, so there's no point in resting." Just go in and get it over with. Zhao Yuanzhong turned to Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan and asked, what about you two? Lin Zikan said, let's go in now. Shen Qinghan said, I also agree to go in now. Zhao Yuanzhong said, the minority will follow the majority, so let's just go in now. Upon making the decision, all 5 of them got up from the ground and were at full alert, preparing to enter the rooms on the 3rd floor. I'm going to open the door and enter. Zhao Yuanzhong walked to the door, placed his hand on it, and made a motion to push it open. Lin Zikan said, open it. Zhang Kai said, quit dawdling and open it quickly. Creak. Zhao Yuanzhong pushed open the door in front of him. Immediately, the several people saw a metal room scattered with cover positions and a robot standing motionless at the center of the room. The robot's size was a notch bigger than an average adult male. It looked to be around 2.5 meters in height. Its body was made of pure alloy. Its arms were equipped with machine guns, and its feet were fitted with an anti-recoil propulsion device, while its back was equipped with a large machete. It looked like it had high combat capability. Upon seeing such a robot, Zhang Kai exclaimed in shock, damn, that's freaking cool. Zhao Yuanzhong was on high alert. Is this robot our opponent for the 3rd challenge? Do you think there might be a pilot inside? Sheng Guanyueying turned to Shen Qinghan and asked. Shen Qinghan shook his head, I'm not sure. Lin Zikan didn't speak, he silently sized up the robot in front of him, dispersing his perception to peer inside the robot. All mechanical and electronic parts. There was no pilot inside the robot. Click. 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 Suddenly, a crisp sound came from inside the robot. The moment the sound occurred, the robot's dim eyes lit up with a sinister red glow. Then, it abruptly raised its arms loaded with machine guns and started spraying bullets at the 5 of them. Da da. Da da. Da da. This firing happened in the blink of an eye. Luckily, as all 5 of them were vigilant, they immediately found cover to hide behind the moment the robot raised its arms. Bang! 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 The bullets hitting the metal cover made a piercingly loud noise. In just an instant, the previously indestructible metal cover was pitted and left with a mass of visible bullet holes. Its armor-piercing bullets. Zhao Yuanzhong loudly warned, everyone be careful not to get hit, or your bones will be pierced through. He didn't need to remind them, they all knew this very well. They tightly squeezed behind the cover, waiting for the robot to run out of armor-piercing bullets. However, the robot's ammunition was abundant. After nearly half a minute of continuous firing, there was no sign of the firepower weakening. On the contrary, it intensified even more. Metal covers, less than 20 centimeters thick, could not withstand being shot at by armor-piercing bullets for that long and were showing signs of being about to get pierced through. That robot's ammo is too plentiful. We can't go on like this. We have to strike back using the covers for protection before they get destroyed. Zhao Yuanzhong shouted to the others around him. He was almost screaming at the top of his lungs. The noise made by the armor-piercing bullets hitting the metal cover was too loud. Without shouting, others simply couldn't hear him. Let's just forfeit, Sheng Guanyueying suggested. The teams before us all failed to clear, we have no chance of passing. She didn't want to get hurt and just wanted to quickly finish this camp entry assessment. Zhao Yuanzhong said, even if the hope of clearing is slim, we can't forfeit, otherwise we'll definitely be severely criticized by the instructors when we go out later. Zhang Kai disagreed, I think we should choose to forfeit. After saying this, he continued, when encountering an unbeatable enemy, what we need to do first is to preserve our lives, not to knowingly march to our deaths. That's what idiots do. Only if we are alive can we continue to be useful. Dead, we lose everything and only waste the nation's training. To sum up, I think forfeiting is the correct choice. Not only will we not get criticized afterward, but we might even be praised by the instructors. Zhang Kai spoke persuasively and logically. Yet, he was a bit fallacious in his argument. It was an entry assessment for the camp, not a real battlefield. There was no reason to forfeit. Zhao Yuanzhong knew Zhang Kai was being fallacious and retorted, "This is an entry assessment, the worst that can happen is we get hurt, there's no freaking need to forfeit." Chapter 240, 166, It's time to make a move _2. Zhang Kai ignored him and turned to look at Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan, asking, "Ziai Chen, Xiao Shen, what do you think?" Lin Zikan, "I'll go with Han Han's opinion." Shen Qinghan hesitated for a moment before saying, "Why don't we give it a try? Maybe we'll make it through." It was a surefire way to clear the level. With Lin Zikan present, failure was not an option. But Shen Qinghan couldn't just say that outright. She could only pretend to be hesitant and suggest to everyone to give it a try. Seeing Shen Qinghan suggest trying, Zhao Yuanzong's mouth twitched, and he looked at Zhang Kai and shouted, Shen Qinghan, and Lin Zikan all agree to try. The vote is 3-2, the minority follows the majority. Zhang Kai had no choice but to agree. Zhao Yuanzhong began to formulate an attack plan, shouting at the top of his voice. "I and Lin Zikan are in the best condition, so we'll attack the robots. Zhang Kai is in a worse state, so he'll cover with the two girls. How does everyone feel about that?" "No objections." "I have no objections either." Everyone agreed to this attack plan. Once everyone had agreed, Zhao Yuanzhong shouted out loud, "Begin the action." The moment his words fell, he picked his moment and rapidly approached the robot from the left flank. Lin Zikan, understanding the plan, flanked from the right without hesitation. Zhang Kai, a mechanically modified human, timely launched a special smoke grenade from behind to cover them. The purple smoke emanating from the smoke grenade effectively shielded their heat signatures from the robot's sensors. Shen Qinghan and Shang Guanyueying, the two girls, were also busy. The former remotely controlled the liquids inside the robot's body. The latter tried hard to create distractions, aiming to attract the robot's attention and draw its fire. Under their cover. Soon, Zhao Yuanzhong and Lin Zikan successfully got close to the robot. Zhao Yuanzhong gave Lin Zikan a signal, indicating that they should go together. Lin Zikan nodded, signaling that he understood. 1, 2, 3. Zhao Yuanzhong sequentially raised 3 fingers, then gestured go, and his whole body charged out, heading straight for the robot in front of him. Almost at the same moment, Lin Zikan exploded with the speed of an ordinary 8th level, rushing towards the robot as well. Bang! Zhao Yuanzhong fiercely punched the robot's head, producing a crisp impact sound. Then, a loud "ah" was heard. Zhao Yuanzhong felt his finger bones break, and he cried out in pain, his face contorted with agony. The robot's head was extremely hard, ordinary 8th level strength could not cause it any significant damage. Bang! Another sound quickly followed. Lin Zikan's foot swept across the robot's waist, causing the robot to shift slightly. But that was all, it caused no substantial harm. The power of a newly attained ordinary 8th level was completely insignificant in front of the robot, no different from a mantis trying to stop a chariot. This robot's strength is at least at the peak of the ordinary 8th level. We can't break through its defense right now, we need to recover our strength first. Having retreated to take cover, Zhao Yuanzhong called out loudly to Lin Zikan. Just now, during the 2nd level, he was electrified too many times. His muscles were damaged and hadn't fully recovered, so he could not perform to his full strength. His thought was to keep engaging the robot slowly, wait for some strength to recover, and then attempt another attack. While he was thinking this, the robot lowered its arms, stopping the barrage of fire, and instead pulled out the large machete from behind, switching to melee mode. Whir! A sound of air bursting echoed. The robot activated 2 reverse airflow propulsion devices on its feet, and in a flash, it charged in front of Zhao Yuanzhong and swung down its blade. F***ck. Zhao Yuanzhong cursed, quickly dodged to the side to avoid the blow. The metal cover he was behind was not so lucky and was cleaved into 2 pieces. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yuanzhong broke into a cold sweat on the spot. Whir! Once more, the sound of air bursting was heard. The robot shifted its target and charged fiercely toward Lin Zikan, bringing its blade down in a swinging motion. Lin Zikan's reaction was incredibly fast, and he dodged out of the path of the blade just before it could land. Whir! The robot once again flashed its form, rushing towards Shen Qinghan in front. Shen Qinghan wasn't fast enough to dodge and couldn't avoid the attack. Seeing this, Lin Zikan immediately flashed forward, charging over with a flying kick that sent the robot reeling back 2 body lengths, causing its strike to miss. Buzz! The robot, after adjusting, immediately charged toward the nearby Shang Guanyueying, choosing to target her. Its attacks were designed to hit everyone equally, never attacking the same person in succession. Be careful! Zhao Yuanzhong shouted loudly. At the same time, he forcefully pushed off with his calf, catapulting himself forward like a cannonball. Then, with a loud bang, he slammed into the robot, sending it flying several body lengths away and successfully saving Shang Guanyueying. After the robot adjusted, it charged toward Zhang Kai on the other side, with its knife ready. Zhang Kai, being clever, immediately rolled into a nearby cloud of purple smoke, blocking the robot's thermal sensing and causing it to lose its target. Captain, we can't make it through, let's just give up. Shang Guanyueying didn't want to play anymore and considered surrendering. Zhao Yuanzhong thought back to the scene where the robot had split a barricade in 2 with a single slash and also felt a bit scared. But, after thinking it over and not willing to give up yet, he shouted to Shang Guanyueying, let's try one last time. If it still doesn't work, then we'll quit. Fine. Shang Guanyueying agreed reluctantly. The other 3 had no objections, agreeing to this final attempt. They quickly coordinated their attack with an unspoken understanding. They launched their offensive at the robot. However, before they were fully organized, the robot preemptively struck. A valve suddenly opened on the robot's chest, revealing a suction device that instantly absorbed all the surrounding purple smoke. Without the cover of the purple smoke, the robot's thermal sensing was fully restored. Buzz! The sound of whistling through the air resonated. The robot, moving faster than ever, lunged at Shen Qinghan, who posed the most threat to it. It could distinctly sense that Shen Qinghan could manipulate the various liquids inside its body, causing no small trouble for its operations. Be careful! Zhao Yuanzhong yelled as a warning. As he shouted, he took a large step forward at lightning speed, darting toward the robot to prevent it from attacking Shen Qinghan. But the robot was too fast, and he simply couldn't make it in time to save her. It's over. Zhao Yuanzhong thought to himself. Zhang Kai and Shang Guanyueying felt the same. Just as the 3 of them thought Shen Qinghan would be chopped down by the robot's fierce slash, Lin Zikan miraculously appeared beside Shen Qinghan, pulled her away with one hand, and she narrowly dodged the slash. The 3 observers were shocked by this scene. Lin Zikan was that fast? Buzz! The familiar sound of slicing air rang out again. This time, the robot switched its focus to Lin Zikan, leaped high from the ground, and viciously swung its large cleaver down towards him mid-air. Facing this explosive slash, Lin Zikan didn't even try to dodge, instead, he threw his fist out powerfully. He felt it was about time. It was time to clear this level. Bang! A thunderous noise sounded. Lin Zikan's fist struck the robot squarely in the chest. He punched it so hard that it flew backward. And with a bang, smashed into the ceiling. Creating a hole above and leaving its head poking through, its half-body stuck and swaying precariously. Down below the ceiling, Zhao Yuanzhong, Zhang Kai and Shang Guanyueying all stood there stunned. Their eyes were wide open, faces filled with shock. What just happened? A simple punch sent the robot flying? How could that be possible? They all thought they were seeing things or dreaming. The three refused to believe what they were seeing. P.S. Another chapter coming around 3 o'clock.